Alright guys, so what we've done so far is basically creating our builder processor to generate builders by simply annotating a class with the builder annotation we created ourselves. So we're going to move forward with that. So I added some code here. If you take a close look, let me explain what's going on. Every time an annotation process is called or fired, basically, the compiler will send you a round environment which will contain all the details you need. And then the round environment has this method called get elements annotated with, and then when you pass in the annotation that you created, it'll return everything that's annotated with that particular annotation. But so this is where the reflection and annotation processor, actual real annotation processing differs. So through reflection, you have access to everything that's been compiled. Here right now, nothing is compiled, so you don't have that much information available to you, and types don't exist at this point, so they're exposed to you in the form of elements. So a field, a method, a parameter, a package, a class, they're all represented as elements. So when you do get elements annotated with, you need to make sure you get the element type you're looking for. So that's what we're going to do here. Element get kind is class. I'm sure you know we tagged our builder. We targeted two types, which is classes. But in the annotation processor, in the actual processing round, they're called classes, not types. So yeah, we're going to use an if block and then move on only if our element is in either class. And then so basically now at this point we have our class, so we need access to its fields. So how do we do that? We do element get enclosed element. So enclosed elements will return everything that's within that class. Static fields, normal fields, methods, both static and instant level, and constructors. Yeah, that's it. So get enclosed elements, but again, we're going to have to do another for loop. Get enclosed elements. Okay, so in this enclosed elements, now we got to make sure they're fields. Their kind is field. Because yeah, they could be methods too. You might be thinking, hey, we already annotated our builder to prevent it being set to anything other than a class. You could be right, but there's many ways a class can be written. Like I said, another annotation process could be creating a class and annotating with the builder. Since those classes won't get run through the same lint issues that you might run into, it might still make it past to the compiler, and you will still get this issue. But it's a rare case. But just to be safe, this is a good way to. This is a perfect way to go. Okay, so enclosed. So now we need to make sure it's public, because the builder can only set a public or protected fields. So yeah. So get modifiers contains modifiers. Whoops, I can't spell modifier currently. Public or closed and modifier contains modifier protected. Again, you know what? I'm just gonna add them here. Yeah, you don't need to nest it. This is really ugly. Well, let's make it smaller. Okay. All right. So we now, at this point, we have an element. And we have a field that's public. I mean, it's a field that's public or protected. Well, hold on. It's actually it needs to be a field, and this is much. It needs to be a field for sure, but it could be a public or protected field. So we can set it nicely. Okay. So now, all right. So we know what we need to do at this point. We're basically going to create, start writing into our class. So how do we do that? Well, first let's create a class file that we can write into. So let's go ahead and do that. So at the top of our for loop, we know that we have a class that's annotated with builder. So I think it's a good place to start our object, which is the class. Let's call builder class. And we do it through another round environment, but a processing environment, which is which we have access to because it's a field in the abstract processor class. So you get filer, create source file, and we have to give it a name. So the name will be the name of our builder. I mean the name of our class and a builder. So basically, if the name is get toString plus. Okay, what's the issue here? I think yep, it's an exception. Surround with try and catch up here. Builder class. Okay. You know, let's put the whole thing in that try block. Because if it fails at that point, the rest should not be ran also. Okay. Okay, so now we have our builder class. Now we can actually proceed with writing into our class. So how do we do that? We use a buffered writer. And then we get it. Oh my god, I need to set this to null here. So stop crying. Okay, so we give the builder class open writer. Okay. So now whatever we write into our buffer writer, we're going to our class. So let's look at a typical class. It starts out with a package, imports, and basically the rest, right? So once we start off with, let's start off with the package name. Append starts up package base. This is where it's painful, actually, the creation of the class. So the package name will be, so we'll put the builder in the same package as the main class. So element and since our class is the highest level in the hierarchy, the enclosing element of that will be the package. So enclosing element, and at that point, you know, I'm going to do it up here also. Package element. Then I'm going to do package element gets enclosing element. Okay. Now that I have the package element label, element get qualify name toString. Perfect. Buffer writer and overrider UI. Okay. We can just run this right now, see what happens. Okay, right now we should have our class created. I'm not sure where it is. Oh, let's actually, whoops. Let's run it. Oh, wait a second. It's not, so we just created a class. We didn't actually move forward with. So once you create the Java file object and put everything in it, you can actually save it. There's a way to save it. Let's just save that to the end then. Alright guys, so I noticed an error. So we can't do it here because we'll have multiple fields, right? So we need to move this up to the same level as this one. Okay. Open writer. Yeah, that's fine. Actually, I should do the same thing over here, which move it down here. Buffer writer. Okay. It's initial of email, and then we're going to close it here if there is an error. So right, printing the stack traces will do nothing because you don't actually have a log system way to use the compile time. Buffer writer close. I guess we don't need that. Just close it. Surround that with try to get you. Actually, you know what? Okay. Do we need that? I guess I'll put it in the try block. Now let's run it. Whoops, hold on. Yeah, because they need to stop firing. Okay, why are we adding the package name? Okay, yeah. So our class is created. As you can see, it's under the generator. It's just that it's wrong because you need to adjust a couple things. Mainly, this needs to happen just once upon creation of the class initially. Okay, and then yeah. Okay, so let's run it again. Every time you run it, this class will get recreated. Okay, now it's correct. Okay, back here. There's actually a couple more things we need to do here. Right? The buffer writer and its name is really important. So we want a public buffer writer and oops, its name. What are we naming him again? So elements, simple name, string plus builder. And we'll move this. I'm going to stick the pattern that I have here and okay, run. Again, going back here. Why wasn't updated? Okay. Whole class annotation example builder. So yeah, we need to move the space here, but yeah, we're getting close. Yeah, there's no space here. My bad. Okay, before we close, I'm going to add end Why don't I just add a new line there? Operator and closing brackets for full class and active right here. So if you run the whole project now, oops. Okay, so we have our class. It does nothing, but it'll do stuff. Alright, so let's go back here. So now we have to add our fields one by one, right? What do we need to do first? We need to create a constructor. We need to create a static method for us to initialize our builder. So we'll just add that. And new line. Also, I'm not going to care too much about what the class looks like, formatting and all, because yeah, it doesn't really matter. And public static. You know, I think it's easier to basically string class name, building name. Let's initialize this here, so we don't have to keep doing it over and over again. Sweet. Then I'm going to have to do this and just add the building name. And then the starting bracket. Public static operator and building name. And accept nothing. And then going to return itself. Return new building. Alright, so let's run again. Just see what it looks like. Public static. Why is it public static? Ah, you didn't give the method a name, so let's give the method a name. Builder create. Oh, let's go create. Guys, just so you guys know, there's a better way of doing this. It's through a library called Java Poet. It's created by Jake Warden. I'm not sure if you know who he is. He used to work at Square, now he works at Google. He's basically the guy that's behind most common Android and Java libraries such as Butterknife, RxJava, and many others. And yeah, he created Java Poet also. It basically allows you to do all of this in a very nice, easy manner. This painful. But I wanted you guys to see how it's done. You know, bread and butter with no other third-party libraries and dependencies. But yeah, I would not have been doing this if it wasn't a tutorial. Alright, so we got no errors. Meaning this class, while it looks ugly, it will get what we need to done. Okay, so we just need to add a constructor to it. Okay, so buffer writer, new line. You know what? I'm gonna add multiple new lines. Buffer writer. Okay, and to be a private constructor. Builder name. I'll do it starting right here too. Alright, so again, we forgot to do one more thing. Before we add constructor, we need to add a field with the class that we're building. So let's just do that. Again, private. Writer and okay, so I added an object. So now I'm going to set that to the new object. Let's start a new line here. And this object equals new operator and this object. What am I doing? Element, simple name. And element. Wait, no. Yep, end it here. Again, let's see what we're doing. Let me see what it looks like. Should be no errors, but I'm not sure. Yeah, there isn't. So let's see what our class looks like now. Alright, so we have our object. We have the builder constructor, and then we have well, nothing else. So let's start adding our individual set methods for each field. This is the most fun stuff. I mean, it's actually not too much fun, but public. Well, for each one of them, I'm going to do a new line. I'm going to do 2 new lines actually. Buffer writer, append. And these need to be public. Indeed, the return type needs to be name of the builder. And call us set buffer writer and enclosed get simple name to string. Alright, so you need to know the type of the parameter, type of the field, so we can pass it in as a parameter. So let's just do I'm actually not sure how to do it. Let me just research and I'll come back. Alright guys, so I figured it out. So we're going to do enclosed s-type to string. Then append space param operator append to a new line for cleanliness and this object dot buffer writer and closed get simple name to string buffer writer and equals buffer writer and param. Alright. Let's add closing bracket there also. Let's no, it needs to return. Let's add in a separate line. New line. And we'll do this actually is wrong in this case. And this. And there we go. Let's see what it looks like. No issues. Alright. Our build is actually done, pretty much. We just need to add a final build method. Actually, if you want me to keep reading as I code, or otherwise it just seems like it's too quiet. So I was reading, but I don't know. So the return type in this case would be the main element, be the type element in this case. So builder name. Nope, not the builder name. It'll be element, simple element. Perfect. Okay, so and cool build. That makes the most sense. Let's see what it looks like. I think we're done. Yep, we're done. This is our ugly ass class that we created, but what it looks like really does not matter to you because it's auto generated. All we had to do was come here, put the builder tag, and now we have a builder for that class. And I want to show you why it's so awesome. Now the class is perfectly fine. I mean, useful because you can do this. Sample builder. Whoa. Why is it not available to us? Let me investigate this in back. Alright guys, so if you got the issue, it's a very simple issue. It's just that we need to go to our project structure. See, all of this is excluded from the class path, so they were not being used basically. So I basically clicked on the generated source folder and mark it as a source to have all of its classes be included in my compile and source code. So I already did that, so you can just do the same. And now Annotation example builder is available to be create set object object 2. I want to set that null. Easy. And you can do this for other stuff also. Let's say I'm not sure if you have any candidates here, the good candidates. Nope, they're all private. Yeah, I don't see any good candidates here. You know what? Let's just make these public. And then we'll annotate it with a builder. Okay. Rebuild. Whoops, whatever. Yeah, that's another issue, guys. Since we're counting on the fact that they all have a empty constructor, you need to add an empty constructor for class. Why is it crying? Oh yeah, you add super here. Not there. Here. No. Let's go back to our main. Let's just test it out. Car builder create. So field type, fuel type. Oh, you already have a builder for a car. I know that. Well, see, isn't it great? I don't have to write any builders down. All I have to do is just annotate my class. Boom, it's there. Perfect. All right, well, thanks, guys. I know it's been a long video. I'm probably gonna cut it into 2 pieces. And yeah, I hope you guys liked it. And I'll upload the code. Let me know what you think. See you later.